Hi there. I thought of creating a different channel for the Church of Nowhere or the Church of Nothing, but then I thought, no, I'm going to keep it on this channel together with 125 different videos on spiritual healing and specifically on healing Temple Mew. And and the reason I'm putting these videos up about the Church of Nowhere or the Church of Nothing, Church of Nowhere as I prefer to call it anyway, because nothing is a bit too nothing. Anyway, uh, I thought about this long and hard, and I thought, do I believe in all this anymore? And I think, well, at best I have a crisis of faith, and at worst I actually don't believe in any of it anymore. That is to say, if I was publishing a book on the Healing Temple Mew, um, the thing about it, or putting videos up as I have done, you are making de facto, you're making truth claims. Uh, if you're describing something that you supposedly channeled from some psychic source or divine source or metaphysical source or whatever, you are making that claim, and you can't really take it back. But then you, like I'm doing now today, you can actually say, well, I don't really think there is any truth in it at all. I don't really think there is anything out there. I don't really think there is a divine source. And there certainly isn't some sort of lost civilization that have become sort of, I don't know, immortalized or joined the choir invisible or something, and become kind of an etheric body of men and women initiates who are very wise and know more than we do about the common cold, for example. I think, I've actually toyed with the idea of writing a book called The Healing Arts. And it's just going to be a book, describing all the various systems, because I've come up with loads of different healing systems that supposedly come from some sort of divine source and being channeled by yours truly, and why would they be channeled through me and not through you or not through the person down the road or my neighbor or whatever? Why has it got to be me? Why am I so special? It's egotistical to begin with, isn't it? Even to sort of claim religious revelation, and certainly claiming to have channeled some kind of healing system. I don't see it. I think it's all sort of hocus pocus, but it's more than that. It's sort of artistically ego or egotistical, and that's okay, because if I write a poem or come up with a movie script or write a piece of music, then that's coming from my ego, isn't it? I'm trying to show off how clever I am. And you may think I'm clever or you may think I'm not clever. That would be sort of up to the audience to decide, wouldn't it, really? So this book, Healing Arts, it would be a book basically of all my healing systems, all the different religious backgrounds and everything. And the preface would begin by saying, I have made no truth claims in this book. In other words, it's not into a rival to your doctor, to your GP. The system isn't going to replace the NHS, for example, or cancer treatment. I'm not making any claims. In fact, really, this book is more like a book made by could be written by Rawlings or Tolkien. It's a fantasy book, really. It's a fantasy world that I've created of spiritual healing and spiritual guides and spiritual powers and psychic energies and all this. It's a fantasy book. It could be Lovecraft with Cthulhu counts or something. It's not. There's nothing out there really. I mean, there are miracles, and there's a theology of miracles, believe it or not, where people study miracles and whether they are, because it does, miracles do happen, and the thing is that they do throw out the possibility of an intervening something that's out there, or they could be just, the action of chance alone, the action random successes, and people just spontaneously get better from diseases which apparently are incurable or terminal or something like that. or disabled people just suddenly get better for no reason, and it could just literally be random. Hard as it may seem to believe that, it's almost harder to believe than a god, basically. That these things could just get better on their own. But if you leave nature to go its own sweet way, sometimes non-intervention is actually better than intervention in many cases. And time is a great healer, and humour is a great healer, and what have you. As people got better from cancer by watching Rowan Atkinson for a whole year or something like that, and just laughing all every day, and things like that. So you could say that's miraculous if you want. But healing systems and muse and goddesses and deities and spirits and UFOs and I don't know, all the kind of stuff, all the fantasy stuff, I don't know. I wouldn't like to say one way or the other. I'm sort of agnostic, I suppose, really. But anyway, I mean, I do have a lot of fun with it. I love cults and religions and people wandering around with robes and candles and incense and wands and stuff like that, all the Harry Potter stuff. I do love it, in the Order of the Phoenix and all that kind of stuff. It's great fun. It's great fun. But I think if there is a God, it would be kind of fairly ordinary, and if there's an angel coming down to talk to us, it'd be kind of very, very sort of ordinary. It wouldn't be kind of miraculous or, it wouldn't be sort of wings and stuff like that and light, and it would just sort of something that you sort of just, I don't know, sit down one day or walking through a park or something, and I don't know, you might just get a sense of the divine, and there's no voices and visions and UFOs coming down and people coming down on clouds and angels and all that kind of stuff. It'd be kind of really, really perfectly ordinary if there's going to be some sort of metaphysical message being given to you. And again, you would have to say to yourself, why is it being given to me? Why isn't it being given to that guy over there in the park, or that child or that woman or whatever, or that handicapped person? Why has it got to be some sort of white Caucasian male, that's come from a middle class family, that's, his family is military and or government and all that? Why has it got to be me? It's obviously there's something a bit odd about that, isn't there? Really, when you think about it. So I've these videos on the Church of Nowhere are sort of in juxtaposition with my videos already uploaded years ago on the Healing Temple Mew. Because I do have lots of different healing methods. I mean, they sort of come out of my imagination, I think, just like A.J. Rawlings and Tolkien. I can create a whole religion. I can create languages, mystical languages, and I can create mystical symbolisms and systems of symbols. I just love it all. I've got a fertile imagination, very creative. And yet, on the very rare occasions when I've used Healing Temple Mew, it hasn't worked. Nothing actually happened at all. And it's a good thing I didn't charge anybody or anything. That's why I don't believe in charging for healing arts, because I think that's just immoral. But some people may say, well, it's a placebo effect, and if you charge people like hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a session of healing, so-called, they're going to get better because they spent so much money on it. But that's sort of, I mean, there couldn't be anything much wrong with them in the beginning. And so the placebo effect has actually had a great effect because it is psychosomatic, in fact, their illness. They don't have anything wrong with them physiologically or bio in terms of biological function. They just think that they're ill, and and sort of, as Jesus said, take up their bed and walk. He was talking to someone who just believed they couldn't walk, and just needed a bit of encouragement, a bit of sort of a bit of God talk, really, to get them going in the morning, because they had ME or something like that, and people are going to kill me now because I say ME doesn't exist, and some doctors still say ME doesn't exist. They still say it's psychosomatic. They still say it's depression. There really isn't a virus associated with ME. There's still controversy raging over whether ME exists and whether the yuppie flu, it's called, and there's lots of psychological explanations which do just as well. But we're not going to get into that discussion. All I'm saying really is that I prefer to do the Church of Nowhere because I really sort of, as far as I'm concerned, I do have a crisis of faith. I don't really think I do believe in anything actually out there. There is a God. I don't think I do believe in there is a God. I don't even think that there's a God everywhere, or as in the sort of sense of impersonal Brahmin. I think it's really, I mean, a lot of people like Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism at that, which really doesn't have any metaphysics at all. Even the Buddha is just a focal point for meditation. There isn't any Buddha sort of flying around in the sky anywhere. But then they invented Mahayana Buddhism, which is a Buddhism of everywhere else except Thailand. And that does have boomies and demons and angels and stuff like that. Of course, they try and say, oh, well, they don't really exist. They're sort of created by consciousness or whatever. But they seem to exist fast. They seem to have an awful lot of them, and they seem to kind of, if you say Amitabha 3 times, and it'll give you whatever you want in life, rub the lucky Buddha. There is a lot of superstition in Buddhism, which sort of crept back into the pristine philosophy that it once was. But in the West, post-Enlightenment Buddhism really doesn't have any metaphysics and shouldn't have any metaphysics, as indeed the Church of Nowhere or nothing has no metaphysics either. It just has morality and meditation, basically. Anyway, so I hope I've made my position here clear, and why you're discovering these rather controversial, provocative videos on a channel which is supposed to be about, lovey-dovey healing and things that go bump in the night and angels and lost Atlantis civilizations and all that. What basically could be a work of imagination, and basically just is gobbledygook, really. But some people have made a religion out of Jedi, Star Wars, and George Lucas is sort of sometimes held as a prophet of a new religious movement, even, which I'm sure George Lucas would kind of dispute quite hotly and be embarrassed about, or maybe he wouldn't, because it sells product, doesn't it? Anyway, I mustn't get too cynical, because a lot of people might be fed up with me, but I'm not fed up with myself. I kind of stick by what I don't know if I believe in everything that I say I believe in. And I'm quite happy about that, really. I don't see it's like a big thing. I'm not like Taliban or, a fundamentalist, where basically you have to believe, otherwise you're not a good person or a good American or something like that. I think that's rubbish, and that's just a wickedness, really. And that's one of the big things about Church of Nowhere, is that you don't have to believe in anything. The Church of Nowhere puts forward as being the truth or whatever. And certainly, it's not the case that if you don't believe in the Church of Nowhere, you're a bad person, or a bad American, or a bad British person, or a bad Chinaman, or whatever. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I thought I'd just better clear all this up before I go on with any more videos on the Church of Nowhere. Thank you very much.